All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Fans, 12 Rings. Jeff here. Brad, what's up, dude?
Not a whole lot, man. Premier League starts this Friday for my Manchester United boys, and college football I think is in 11 days. NFL's in about 20. We're right around the corner from best time of the year.
Yeah, did you watch any preseason football or?
I watch as much as I can. I watch the whole Steelers game.
Yeah. I want to start off by talking a little bit of Team USA. We don't have to go super deep into it, but I did want to talk about a couple of things here. So, I was on vacation this whole last week, and I had kind of talked about that in our last pod of kind of like the trip down to Florida or whatever. But I did want to kind of talk about what transpired just a couple days after we podded, and that was the USA-Serbia game, which was truthfully one of the best basketball games I've ever seen in my life. Just like what was at stake, and there was kind of like this underdog Serbia feel, and what was kind of tipping in a game that was becoming full of doubt for Team USA in a way. They were down, I think, as much as 16 points and 11 heading into the fourth quarter, I think it was. But a fantastic game that I know you watched as well. Figured we could chat about that for a minute. Obviously, the gold medal game didn't have as much of a in-doubt feeling, if any. But that Serbia game, what did you initially think of that?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think it shows again, not to compare the two dream team to this team, from in the 90s. In the Olympics, all the other teams combined had, I think, 9 NBA players. This year, I think it was like 68 or something like that or something. So it also goes to show what some of these guys in the NBA, when you let them off the leash and let them go for their country, it shows how good they are at basketball, specifically Bogdan Bogdanovic, or you think about Patty Mills for Australia. In certain games, Evan Fournier for France. So it was very fun to see. I saw that they were down at halftime when I was leaving work. I got home, threw it on right away. Casey watched it with me. She saw how engaged I was into the game, and it's like, Team USA potentially going down to, I don't know, just what a lot of people say is the best basketball player in the world the last few years in Jokic, and so many big shots, and can't say enough about Steph Curry changing over the last 2 decades with his shooting, and then him putting it on display in the last 2 games, just unguardable. I know a lot of people were roping Kevin Durant in because he is so amazing for the United States team. For me, it was just nice to see Curry and LeBron on the same team. They've won a lot of rings over the last, 2 decades and been in a lot of championship games. And the NBA kind of turned off for 2.5 years when Kevin Durant teamed up with the Warriors. So he gets thrown in there. But it was nice to see all 3 of them, because whether it's you don't like them, you like them, or what they've been in the NBA, they all got together and mission accomplished. It was really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was just so. I don't know that I don't know that this is a popular take. I like all 3 of those guys. I think there's a lot of people that dislike LeBron, a lot of people that dislike Curry, a lot of people that dislike KD. I don't think there's a ton of I think it's a minority opinion. And I think you fall into this, that you like all 3 as well, But go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Oh, do you agree? Do you like all 3 of those guys?
Yeah, I don't necessarily loves like everybody on the team, but I like celebrating great players. I like watching them. I don't ever take that kind of stuff for granted. I liked Brady. I liked Manning. I liked Breeze. I liked Rivers. Stuff like that. So
yeah, I think it's hard to really get deeply invested in Team USA because it is such a small sample size. How many games did they play? 7 or 8?
I think they played the 3 round robins, and then I think they played 4 games in the knockouts, the quarters. or the first knockout round, then the quarters, semis. Because yeah, then the three knockouts. So in total, like 10 games if you count like
Exhibition too.
they're the one lost to South Sudan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a small sample size, and it's done and over with so quickly, and it lasts a little less than a month, I think. But for me, LeBron James has been one of my favorite players since probably just after I graduated high school in 2010. Back when he joined the Miami Heat, I started to like him. Steph Curry, I went through a period of time where I didn't like him because he was going against LeBron, and then I started to appreciate him and then like him more. And then Kevin Durant, I've always kind of liked him because I liked him when he was at Texas. And like what kind of player he was and just kind of followed him. And I disliked that he joined the Warriors, but I eventually let that go. And when those three teamed up, it was kind of a special surreal moment because it's maybe not the best three players in the league now, but 5 years ago, those were the three best players in the entire NBA and the world, actually, the three best players in the world. And it was interesting to see them all team up and watch LeBron really take that leadership role. And Steph Curry, for the first, I think we just said they played roughly not 10 games. Let's say if it's 10, the first 8 games, he was a role player. In the last 2 games, he went absolutely nuclear. Obviously, that comeback against Serbia, he had 36 in that game. LeBron was incredible, had triple-double. KD with a couple of clutch baskets late. Those three had their last 12. But then the game again, the gold medal game against France, the game is quote unquote tight. It's less than 10 with a few minutes to go. And Steph Curry just goes on this absolute just flamethrower run. Video games, dude, where it's like you're in NBA Jam and you're on fire and you can't miss. Like that's literally what it was. Matter of fact, there's a picture floating around of Steph Curry's last shot that was kind of, I don't want to call it a clutch shot because at that point the game was kind of maybe out of reach, but he hit the last one where LeBron James is far corner post, okay, with his arms up. And then you have Durant splitting the difference between LeBron and Curry with his hands out, ready for the pass. And then you have Curry, who is clearly double teamed by two guys taller than him. And something he typically does not do is a step back fadeaway. That is not Curry's game. He is a jump shooter. He's not a step back shooter. He literally hits a step back fadeaway in these guys' eye and bangs it for three. And it's just one of those moments like, this dude's unconscious. He's literally unconscious right now. He cannot miss. And it was kind of like that. What's the word I'm looking for? That curtain call. It's that encore, of those three. And probably not going to be playing in too many meaningful games in the finals and conference finals anytime soon, as those three have their teams have been kind of passed up, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it. And shout out Devin Booker through all the different moving pieces and performances. And Steph Curry gave him the unsung MVP. Devin Booker really showed up there in that run. He hit some big shots and did a lot of good things.
Speaking of Booker, there was a tweet that's resurfacing from spring of last year. So this is like February, March of 2023. And it is a person randomly tweeting, Team USA is going to need a guy that's willing to
smack the floor,
disappear for quarters on end, and hit a bucket when need be, and just be a role player. And that's kind of hard to find in today's NBA or something like that. And literally Booker quote tweeted it and just simply said, I'll do it. And there's nobody that filled that role better. Nobody filled that role better. He came up clutch when need be, played defense. He became like the chameleon. He blended in and was just huge.
Yeah.
And I think it's a testimony to him that when they were down in that Serbia game to start the fourth quarter, and I even posted this on Facebook, it was Curry, Booker, LeBron, Durant, and AD. I'm like, go win this game. And of course, Booker was trusted to be on the floor with those five there. to close that game out.
Yeah.
Anything else before we talk these 4 teams?
No, just shout out for the women's basketball team getting it done too. That should have been a little bit more surefire, but that added, you said the France game wasn't as good, but some of the allure to that game was that our women and men's were both playing the home nation.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Men's team had to cheat a little bit to get there. It was still pretty cool.
Shout out the Paris crowd. Had you watched any France games prior to that? I watched 2 different ones. Holy cow.
Showed up.
Dude, it was like MSG for the Knicks in the playoffs. Loud, just obnoxious, ready to go. It was truly a home court environment. And that obviously that gold medal game, they trailed most of the game, but I thought they showed up in that one too. So
yeah,
what's that?
They showed up, as I was saying. The France crowd did great.
We ready?
Sure.
The first 16 teams are down. If you have not listened to those episodes, please go back and listen. We'd love to have you listen to those. Follow us on YouTube, trying to grow the YouTube platform right now. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, get yourself an alert. It's at 2fans12 rings, the number 2 and the number 12. Very simple to find. It's me and Brad's emoji faces with a bunch of rings in the background and Super Bowl emojis. So go find us, like it. You're listening now. Ain't too hard to find. But second thing here, we're on the back half. We've already done 16 teams, 4 episodes of 4. You're going to start seeing better teams here. So you're going to start hearing more wins getting called out, or maybe you don't. But we're definitely in the home stretch of this thing.
Yeah. These are the last 2 teams coming up here that did not make the playoffs last year. So we're getting into those teams. And as almost all of you know, it's almost 50-50. There should be about 6 or 7 teams that will not make the playoffs this year that made it last year. So it'll be interesting to see who and Jeff and I, as we come down the stretch here on these schedules, end up, cutting out or getting in. So, we don't do a whole lot of talking about what we think about these teams beforehand. We kind of get in here, and as you guys know, you've listened to the last 4, so let's kick it off.
Jacksonville Jaguars, 9-8 last season. They were not a playoff team. A lot of that has to do with the emergence of the Texans, and really, honestly, how strong the Colts were throughout the year too kind of held the Jags back. They did have 3 Pro Bowlers though. Trevor Lawrence obviously getting hurt late in the year was kind of a big problem for them, and they were featured in both London games. They were historically in the Toy Story game, which got a ton of publicity. I think a lot of it positive. But I'm excited to talk about the Jags. What do you got?
The Jags in the draft, first round, take coveted deep ball wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. In the second round, they get a defensive tackle, Mason Smith. I thought it'd be worth pointing out in the 4th round, they get his running mate, Jordan Jefferson, other D tackle from LSU. They also get an offensive tackle and a cornerback. Additions through free agency, they bring in defensive lineman Eric Armstead, receiver Gabe Davis, safety Darnell Savage, guard Ezra Miller, center Mitch Morse from the Bills, team captain from them, and elite former Pro Bowl quarterback Matt to back up Trevor Lawrence. Some of their big losses, Calvin Ridley's gone. They lose a corner, edge rusher, a couple edge rushers. They lose Brandon McManus, their kicker. Honestly, outside of Calvin Ridley, it seems like the adds outweigh the losses for this team.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, those were two of their top receivers last year. But obviously getting Gabe Davis, you still have Christian Kirk, drafting Brian Thomas. Did I hear you correctly? So they got Brian Thomas and they drafted 2 LSU D tackles, so 3 LSU players?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not too far from LSU. Maybe they got a lot of tape on them, so good for them. But I do still believe in this team. We've talked about it several times on this podcast. Trevor Lawrence, if you're covering up the names and just looking at the stats, he's Daniel Jones, he's Gardner Minshew. They're all three of those guys are kind of grouped together. You'd like to think that Trevor's better. Stats don't lie, though, or do they? It's hard to say. So I do think that we kicked off last year. We were still doing division breakdowns. We kicked off with the AFC South, and both of us said, excited to talk about this division. It turned out to be one of the more fun divisions in all football, and I think it will be again this year, especially if the Titans, who are probably projected to finish last, if they are an improved football team.
Yeah. I look up front. You have Cam Robinson and Anton Harrison, who are decent tackles. Anton Harrison is going to be going into year 2 here. But Brandon Sheriff, Mitch Morse, Ezra Cleveland, 3 free agents over the last 12 months that are all pretty good offensive linemen. You still have Josh, now Hines Allen. He changed his name. Let's remember that. Josh Hines Allen he's been a really good pass rusher. We remember a few years back when Josh Allen beat Josh Allen, and the Jaguars upset the Bills.
He was one of their 3 Pro Bowlers last season.
Yeah. Having Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, adding Eric Armstead to the center of that D-line, along with the 2 LSU boys, that's depth rotation. Foyesada Lucan, Devin Lloyd, these guys are just tackle machines out there. Secondary, they add Darnell Savage. They have Adrian Amos, Ronald Darby. There's things secondaries where you can attack them, but we haven't even mentioned Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. They're 2 running backs that do it all in the backfield, and Evan Ingram, who last year had 114 catches, which was 4th in the NFL, 963 yards and 4 touchdowns. You'd like him to get more yards and touchdowns at that, but they have
also a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, so you have. If you're talking, let's play on Madden, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram. I just think there's a lot to like about this team. It comes down to the Jaguars and what you think about Trevor Lawrence. And Jacksonville fans will probably tell you in that stats debate that, stats are like bikinis. What they show is interesting, but what they don't show is equally as interesting. The injuries, the rotation of offensive coordinators and head coaches. Trevor Lawrence has had a lot of things to set him back. Can he become the quote-unquote princess? He's going to have to if he wants to take this division from the Texans.
I've never heard that before.
I'm dropping nuggets out here.
Oh, my gosh. All right, here we are. This is a team that I don't love the defense. I don't think it's an amazing defense. The offense has been good enough to win usually somewhere between 9 and 10 games last several years. And I think that Trevor, upon being healthy, this does feel like got to be a make or break year, especially after getting that contract. You got to be great. You got to be great. If this is another 28 touchdown, 14 pick it just can't be that. It has to be more. We got to be in the 30 plus, 12 under category. We need to start seeing something more out of Trevor Lawrence. And, obviously he had the come from behind playoff win against the Chargers. It's kind of the sole moment, though. Outside of that, there's not too many Trevor Lawrence moments I love. I think there was a weird stat out there last year that they had won X amount of their last 20 games that weren't against Patrick Mahomes. And it was a very good number. Like, they've won a lot of games.
It was like 2 games that they had lost outside of Mahomes, yeah.
Yeah, so to their credit, they've beaten a lot of good teams too. But I need to see another jump, and we'll see if they make it.
All right, let's just get into this schedule here.
Hit it.
Oops, I was still on let me get to the page. All right, how many games did they win last year? I'm sorry.
9 and 8.
9 and 8. Okay, let's see if they're better or worse. Week 1. It's always difficult in September to travel down to Miami unless you're from Miami. from Florida, excuse me, but they're at the Dolphins.
When is this game?
Sunday, September 8th, 1 o'clock CBS.
That's a great 1 o'clocker. That is a great kickoff game. I'll be in Cincinnati in the stadium for this, but this is a great game. Wow. Give me what I would think is the upset. Give me the Jags.
Taking the Jags. Yeah, Miami loses an interior offensive lineman to go against that defensive front. I don't like the Jags secondary. I'm going to take Miami at home. I'm going to give them a loss. Week 2, they're home against Cleveland. I like the Jags. It's difficult to travel to Florida this early in the year.
Yeah, I'm going Jags too. Wow. That's a tough first 2 games though.
Yeah, it doesn't get much easier here. Then they are Monday night, 7:30 at the Buffalo Bills.
That's a loss. I'm giving that to the Bills.
Okay.
Bills lost to the Jags last year in London, and it was the disadvantage game where it was the second straight week. I do think the Bills bounced back.
The Bills were better than that.
Yeah.
Then after at Bills on Monday night, Sunday at the Houston Texans.
This is a huge divisional match early in the year, but I'm going Texans.
I have them 1-3 through their first 4.
2-2.
Okay, now they're technically going to have 4 home games in a row here.
Really?
They host they host the Indianapolis Colts.
They've struggled with the Colts, man.
Yes.
I'm gonna give them the win though.
I am too. Then now these are listed as home games as well. Home against the Chicago Bears. This is in London.
Both teams' first game in London though.
Mm-hmm.
Loss.
I agree. Jags stay in London to host the Patriots.
Yeah, that's a win.
Come back home from London and host the Green Bay Packers.
That's a loss.
I think so too. Then Sunday night, NBC at Philadelphia Eagles.
Chris Hoffman's saying now we keep giving these guys losses. I'm gonna give them the win here. Eagles win.
All right. He came in this morning, just a little sidebar, and he's like, "You guys almost lost a listener yesterday." He gave the Eagles another loss. He said they're going to be 8 to 9 wins. I'm about done with it.
Chris, I don't hate the Eagles, but they do have to prove that their collapse last year was just simply that, and it's done and over with. So
yep, they're on the next pod. Then they are home against the Minnesota Vikings.
That's a win. By the way, I want to redo my entire Vikings prediction.
I don't know who it was. I'm not familiar with them, but there was a comment on our YouTube pod with the Vikings, and his comment was, "How are they getting 10 wins?" Question mark. Or like, how did you give the Vikings 10 wins? Like it was, and I was like, Jeff, you got to defend yourself here. But I'm sure the pod, you defend yourself. We'll keep going here. After they host the Vikings, they're at the Detroit Lions.
That's a loss.
All right, so I have them at 4-7 through 11 games.
6-5. Is that a bye week in week 12?
Yes, it's a bye week, week 12. And their next 6 games to end the year are divisional games. So they come out of the bye and host the Texans.
They're going to win that coming out of the bye in a divisional match.
I think so too. Then they're at the Tennessee Titans.
loss.
I think they're going to beat the Titans. Then they host the New York Jets.
Oh, that's not divisional.
Yeah, I said 4 of the next 6.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said all 6 are okay.
Nope.
This is a tough game for them. It's going to New York, or they host.
They host New York.
Yeah, I remember this. I actually picked the Jags. Aaron Rodgers' record in Florida is butt. So giving the Jags the win.
Yep, I got the win for the Jags too. One. Or wait, I think I put that on loss on accident. Yep. Yeah, they beat the Texans, Titans, Jets right out of the. So I'm at 7-7. Then they're at the Las Vegas Raiders.
That feels like a win.
Win. Then they host the Tennessee Titans.
I had them losing the Titans. They're going to take the win here at home. They're 3 in a row heading into their last game, which is against the Colts, correct?
At the Colts. This could be to get into the playoffs here. This could be for the division. We don't know how to.
I'm going to give them the win. I think Trevor has a really good year ahead of him.
I like how they match up. I actually have them. I have them winning all 6 after their bye week, but it's to finish 10-7.
I have them going 11-6. I'm going to guess they're over under 10.5, but it's probably not. Is it 9.5?
It is 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah. So division plus 270, win total 8.5. Make the playoffs plus 122, miss minus 150, Super Bowl plus 4,500. The Jags to have a winning record, basically their win prop 8.5. For them to go 9-8.
Wow. They need Trevor to explode. I mean, they're not world beaters with what Trevor we've been seeing. They're a really good football team with Trevor Lawrence as a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Trevor's got to answer that bell eventually.
Are we ready for
the Bengals?
The Bengals?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. Cincinnati Bengals last year were 9-8. They were not a playoff team. I believe. Notice this is the first AFC North team we're doing, and they have a winning record. So everybody in that division had a winning record, and I don't know if that was the first time ever or time ever all 4 teams finished with a winning record.
Yep, the worst team was 9-8, and I have a little something here. You can let me know if you want to guess, but I have the best divisional, best by division, best overall record since 2020, when they're not counting playing against their own division. So take out the 6 games against your own division every year, and that division's record. So the worst team, the AFC South. Texans, Colts, Jags, Texans.
I'm not joking you. I would have guessed that division.
When they are not playing each other, they're 65-107. And that's counting.
You almost can't bet on them.
Yeah, it's 2020, 2021, 2, 3. So it's the last 4 seasons. You want to guess any, or you want me to just tell you real quick?
I have a feeling. I think number 1's I think it's the AFC East.
Number 1 is the AFC. Not close.
Really? Not close?
Yes. No, it's not close. So AFC South 65-107, 37.8 win percentage. Next is NFC South 74-98, 43% win rate. Then the NFC North is 83-88. NFC East 84-87. Now we get to positive. AFC East 88-83. They have a 51.5% win rate. Then the AFC West is 91-81 with a 53% win rate. NFC West is 94-78, 54.7. The AFC North, Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, when not playing each other, are 106-63 with a 62.6% win rate. So it's like just talking about the division as a whole, where they've been the last 4 years. Steelers, who haven't been able to get a playoff win, but have never had a losing record. The Bengals have been to a Super Bowl. The Ravens have been to like 2 AFC North championships. The Browns have been getting into the playoffs. So, yeah, when the AFC North is not playing each other, 106-63. It's a 62.6% win rate.
Bengals had 2 Pro Bowlers last year, but they lost Burrow in Week 11. That is notable because the 2 seasons prior, they were a Super Bowl runner-up and then an AFC champion runner-up. So they've made the Final Four 2 of the last 3 seasons. Obviously, last year, a slow start for Joe Burrow, and then he ended up finishing on the IR. I think this is one of those teams, and I know you were kind of going to bat against them to start last year, and I was kind of going to bat for them. And they were trending in the right direction, obviously, before the injury. But the Bengals are a really good football team, led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, when they're healthy.
Yes. In the draft, they add tackle Amarius Mims from Georgia, D tackle Chris Jenkins from Michigan, Jermaine Burton from Alabama, defensive tackle, a tight end Eric All from Iowa. They have a few more draft picks down the line: corner, tight end, edge, safety, center. Some of their additions: running back Zach Moss, and Mike Gesicki, offensive tackle Trent Brown, defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson, safety Von Bell, and Geno Stone. Never heard of him, but another safety. But they lose Joe Mixon on the offensive end, Chidobe Awuzie, one of their top corners, Jonah Williams, a tackle, defensive tackle DJ Reed. They lose veteran receiver Tyler Boyd. And, the big question is they can do a lot with whatever their roster of Joe Burrow's on the field, but starting to be more and more a question of if he can start the season right, end the season right, be there. Part of that's because of his O-line. Part of that's because of bad luck. But Joe Burrow's starting to stack up a little bit of an injury history since he's been in the NFL, and that can be worrying.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's got to stay on the field, that's for sure. But I do think this is a huge bounce back year for them. I think the Bengals are definitely a contender. This team does miss Jesse Bates from 2 years ago. When they were in that Super Bowl and AFC Championship game, they had Jesse Bates. And last year, their defense was not as good. He obviously playing for Atlanta last season. And this is a team that continuously tries to upgrade the offensive line. They did that in the draft, so kudos to them. They have not traded T. Higgins despite him wanting to be traded and them not giving him a contract extension. They're kind of all in for this year, and it'll be interesting where they go moving forward.
They bring in Trent Brown to add to Orlando Brown on the other side, so they got Browns at the tackle, Ted Karras and Alex Kappa. They've been trying to get the O-line right. I believe it is a little bit improved from where Joe was 2 years ago. Jamar Chase, they keep T. Higgins for a year, but like their third receiver, Andre Lascivas or Jermaine Burton, a rookie, like they're kind of just banking on their top 2 guys to carry him, which they probably can. Those are 2 really good, capable receiver. Their front seven's nice. Miles Murphy, Sam Hubbard, Sheldon Rankins, B.J. Hill, Trey Hendrickson. Their middle linebacker, Logan Wilson, has really kind of moved himself into one of the top linebackers. Big guy I wanted. We do our drafts every year. I really wanted Logan Wilson. I think he was a 3rd-round pick. But like you mentioned, losing Jesse Bates and Chidobe Awuzie, their secondary's taken a big hit the last 2 years. And some teams have had success on him, and it's kind of all on Joe Burrow. He has a bad game, they lose. I don't think they can win without a great game. So I don't know. I know everybody's a little bit more in love with the Bengals than I am. Part of that's obviously I'm wearing Steelers stuff, but I don't know. I don't think this team is so unbeatable. I think this team has some flaws. But their quarterback is really good.
Yeah. I'm ready to predict a bunch of wins.
You said they were 9-8 last year?
Yeah.
Remember, this is what the NFL said to be the best team that did not make the playoffs last year. So, still a good team, 9-8.
And I think that's fair. It's a fair testament. This is a good football team.
Week 1, come out the gate hosting the new look New England Patriots.
Yep, I said this on the Patriot Pod. I'll be at this game. Cannot wait. I'll be there with my son, a lot of friends. I would love for New England to come out with a dub. I'll be cheering hard, but the Bengals feel like the play here. Even though they have started very slow to start years the last couple seasons.
Yeah. Then the Bengals, they go straight from hosting Tom Brady to traveling to Patrick Mahomes at Kansas City.
Yeah, it won't be Tom Brady, but hosting. Wait, they're traveling to Arrowhead? Formerly known as Burrowhead.
Sunday at 4:25.
Yeah. Formerly known as Burrowhead for a reason. Chiefs, by the way, the hardest opening set of the year. They host the Ravens and head to Cincinnati. Give me the Bengals in a bounce back from 2 years ago's AFC title game. Bengals win here.
Give me Mahomes. Then they host Monday Night Football. Joe Burrow, Heisman winning LSU quarterback versus Jaden Daniels, Heisman winning quarterback in the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I have Washington taking the L here. Bengals move to 3-0.
It's a sneaky game. I can't wait to watch that on Monday night. I am going to
this is a fun game. I do think that the Bengals only test though through 3 weeks for what they consider a test will be the Chiefs.
Okay, then they go to the Carolina Panthers.
This is going to be one of the hottest teams in the league, man. They're 4-0 to start the year.
I have them 3-1, not too far off. They now play 3 very difficult defenses in a row. So, after at Carolina, they come back home and host the Baltimore Ravens.
Joe has played so good against the Ravens, like so good against the Ravens. I do think that the Ravens are a completely different team with Derrick Henry, though. I'm very excited for that. This is a team that was able to kind of do whatever they wanted last year, as they have in the past. Where's the game's at?
It's in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati 5-0.
All right, they're 3-2. They lose here to the Ravens. Then they have back-to-back road games. Sunday night at the New York Giants, and then Sunday at 1 at the Cleveland Browns.
They're going to beat the Giants and finally lose the game to the Browns. Is not a one that Joe Burrow has played well with, is the Browns. And after winning 6 in a row, they're going to drop a game.
After dropping a game at Cleveland, they come back home to play the Philadelphia Eagles.
Sorry, Chris. Bengals here.
Bengals are 4-4 for me. And they are what, 7-1 for you?
They're 7-1. I think you're sleeping on them right now because there is a bit of a chip shoulder thing here where Joe's been hurt a lot and he knows it. He was voted, something stupid as far as top players in the NFL last season. Way too low. I think he still views himself as better than Josh Allen, but that's not the consensus. And I think he's going to play with his hair on fire with T. Higgins.
I don't think this team's going to finish bad, but their losses so far are Chiefs, Ravens, Browns, Eagles, which are 4 good teams.
Yeah, but you only have them beating bad teams. Who's the best team they beat? Washington. You've had them beating the Patriots, Washington, the Giants, and some other scrub.
Yeah, about where I got them. Then they host the Raiders.
They're beating them too.
They're beating everybody.
They are.
Then
they are.
Short on the road. They're at Baltimore.
This
Thursday
is a
night.
loss. This is a loss here. Traveling on a Thursday night, that's set up for a loss. And I think they know that, and they'll play them hard in the beginning. And I feel confident with that win against Baltimore in Week 5.
Then it's a long week. They're at the Los Angeles Chargers.
At the Chargers, that's a tough game. Who did I give the Week 11 win to?
I'm giving this to the Bengals.
I actually gave this to the Bengals. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had if I could go back and do a team, I think I gave the Chargers a little too much love when I broke them down.
I think there's a hair too much love, but I still like them a lot. What did I give them? I gave them 13-4. I'd probably tap them down to 11 or 10.
Yeah, 10 or 11 still feels. Their over-under's 8.5. I'm still crushing the over for the Chargers. But back to the Bengals. We both had them winning. They hit their bye week, Week 12. I have them at
Perfect
6
bye week
through 11 games. And what do you have them?
I have them with 2 losses. 9-2.
So 9-2. I have them 6-5. Bye week, they come out of the bye week and host the Steelers.
Off a bye, that's huge at home. I think they get the win.
That's a win too. For the record, I was going to get to when I get to Steelers, but Joe Burrow is 3-2 versus the Steelers, so they're usually pretty good games there. But off the bye week at home, Bengals. Then Monday night at the Dallas Cowboys.
At the Cowboys is a tough spot. I still think the Cowboys are really good. This is a loss.
I think on Monday night, Joe Burrow dices up the Cowboys. I give the win to the Bengals. Then they're at the Tennessee Titans.
This is a tricky game. Coming off a Cowboys loss, I gave the Titans
Will
the win.
Levis spins the ball.
I'm going to stick with it. Titans.
I got the Bengals there. Then short week, home, Cleveland Browns.
They're going to need this one. This is big. After 2 losses, they're going to win this one. So splitting with the Browns. Splitting with the Ravens.
Yeah, I had them losing to the Browns the first time. They beat them this time. They split. Okay. Then they're home against the Denver Broncos.
Beating the Broncos. And they are locked into a playoff spot. They're going to lose to the Steelers Week 18.
And Sunday, January 5th at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think they're locked into a playoff.
That one's TB determined, right?
Yep. I don't think they're locked into a playoff spot, but I like the Steelers in accuracy. I have them 10-6.
I have them 12-5.
I said 10-6. That math ain't mathing. My bad. It is 11-6 that I have them at.
You're good.
Forgot my last little.
I got them at 12-5, but a lot of their losses in the back half of the year when they're supposed to be turning it on. But I still like this.
Yeah, I had it the opposite. You know, they traditionally start slow. They lose to some good teams, win a few, come out of the bye, crush out like 4 or 5 wins out of 6. I think they finished better.
The over-under, I have a feeling. I just have this weird feeling it's low. It should not be. 9.5?
It is 10.5.
Oh. Wow. Vegas knows what they're talking about. I smacked the over with at least 11 wins, but 10.5 is fair.
Yeah, I have 11-6, so I was kind of right on there. Their win the division is plus 165. Make playoffs minus 205. Miss plus 164. Super Bowl is 1,500. And then for the only team this year, we're going to hop on over to the NFC. This podcast, I meant, is what I meant.
Yeah, I know what you meant. So the LA Rams, first off, we could both probably issue an apology right now. We were very low on this team last year. We kind of wrote them off. I remember I was giving them wins early because I thought Stafford would be playing, and you were even pooping on that. And even I thought I was being generous. Rams ended up going 10-7. They lost the wild card round with Matthew Stafford returning to Detroit. Unfortunately, could not get the win. They did have 4 Pro Bowlers, including their rookie standout wide receiver, Puka Nacua. What do you got on off season for the Rams?
I forgot what did they win? You said 9-8 or 10?
They were 10-7 last season.
In the draft, I think this is one of the coolest things. Go look up the video if you haven't. But they take Jared Verse from Florida State in the first round, and then Braden Fisk from Florida State in the second round. It's a very cool video, and they call Braden to give him the phone call that they're drafting him, and he finds out he's going to be playing with Jared Verse again. They were monsters for Florida State. Just a really cool, emotional video. Then they go Blake Corum, taking guys from teams that didn't lose very much in college last year. Cameron Kitchens, a safety from Miami. They later in the draft get edge, D tackle, kicker, wide receiver, center, guard. So they had a ton of picks, but in the first 3 rounds, edge, D tackle, running back, safety. They added in the offseason Jonah Jackson, a guard. Tre'Davious White, was a really good corner, but I mean he's just been so injured the last 3 years. He's played like a total of 8 games, it feels like. Lost some D tackle, Aaron Donald, safety Jordan Fuller, center Coleman, and they lose Carson Wentz. So I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. They added Jimmy G, lost Carson Wentz. We'll see if that works out for him. But can they replace Aaron Donald on defense? And can this passing attack, well, this whole offense really under Sean McVay, do what they got to do to get it done this year again?
You mentioned the loss of Carson Wentz and the add of Jimmy Garoppolo, but one thing I also want to point out, so Stetson Bennett goes after winning 2 national championships in a row at Georgia, gets drafted to the Rams, and has to basically pull himself from the season for the entire season for some off-the-field mental health thing that he had going on. He played his first game in over a year in the preseason game, let it come from behind, last-minute touchdown. He played the entire game, start to finish. They only had 13 or 14 points on the night for Stetson Bennett and the Rams, but I do think that he is a option to potentially be the backup or the future, really the future. Yeah, you mentioned the passing attack of the Rams. I think they're going to be arguably the most balanced team in the league. Having Kerryon Williams, having Blake Corum, having Cooper Kupp, having Puka Nacua. I still think they have a solid tight end, Higbee, right? And somebody else?
Right now on this that he's out. I don't know what his injury is. He's on the PUP for right now. I think he got hurt late last year.
Okay.
Their backup is Colby Parkinson. Not really sure who that is.
Yeah, he's a solid player. I mean, he's been around the league. Yeah, I think the Rams are going to be – they're going to be balanced. They're going to be really good. Tough to play.
Yeah, with Sean McVay's schemes, the offensive line always does a pretty good job. I think they're returning at least 4-star line. They get younger on the defense. I mean, remember they drafted like so many defensive players over the last 2 years when they finally had picks. And getting Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, who Braden Fisk kind of destroyed the combine physically. I think they re-signed John Johnson at safety. They have a bunch of pieces. I feel like there's a lot of names on this defense we don't really know if you're not a Rams fan. That maybe by the end of the year you will. You make plays, but yeah, it all starts and ends with Sean McVay in this offense. I mean, they're really good.
Yeah, I don't think we touched on it. You said who they drafted. They made their first round pick since 2016 when they made Jared Goff the #1 overall pick, right?
Might have been since then, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a team that feels pretty good. They may be able to make a first round pick, and they obviously go out and get a couple of stud defensive ends and a running back. So they're yeah, I believe in the Rams. They're a team I'm high on this year.
Let's just get into it then, I suppose.
Let's tackle it, baby. Who they beat in week 1?
Oh, week 1, Sunday night at the Detroit Lions.
Oh, love this.
Now remember, Puka is dealing with a little bit of a knee issue too. They're questionable on how he's going to be beginning of the season, but they start out at Detroit.
Yeah. They came up short in the playoff game. They're aware of it. They're winning here.
Lions. This will be a great. Hey, you finally sat down. Football's here. You finally watched all the games. Sunday night chimes in. It's coming on. Lions, Rams, Stafford,
Dude,
Goff.
Lions fans are going to be in their feels because they're going to be cheering on the boys. But on the other side, they have their beloved Matthew Stafford. And the reigning national champion Blake Corum is going to be punching him in the end zone. So now, it's going to be a great game.
The Blake Corum will be a nice, like, how you doing on his first run. But as much as they love Stafford, they've already played him in the playoffs. They moved on. Their chant is Jared Goff.
It's so annoying. The Jared Goff chants need to stop.
They're all in. Michigan has just been so bad at most things for a while, but they're just chanting Jared Goff. Just a guy's name. Obviously, the last couple of years, not just Michigan, but the Lions. But you talk about the Pistons, the Tigers, the Red Wings. You know, there's just been a lot of. They needed something. Lions here. Week 2, back-to-back road spot. They go to the Arizona Cardinals in division.
Win. I believe I gave them that against the Cardinals. I did.
Then they're home.
I'm trying to stay so consistent. I'm looking back at notes and stuff.
Yeah. Home against the 49ers.
They're not ready. The Niners win this one.
At the Chicago Bears.
By the way, very excited to talk about the Niners. Fingers crossed because of the last pod that the Ayuk trade's done and we can assess them normally. I'm sorry, what was it?
Yeah, whether they're keeping Huh?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said whether they keep him or not, I would like it to be over.
Yes.
Also, breaking news, Tavon Austin officially retired from the NFL.
Yeah, I've seen that. To be honest, I thought it was already retired. One of the greatest college football highlight reels in the history of anybody's highlight reels, Tavon Austin.
Maybe number 1.
Probably number 1.
All right.
Who's week 4, though?
At Chicago.
Win.
Listen here. You have them at 3-1, and I have them at 1-3. And I think the Rams are better than this. I don't think they're going to finish bad, but Lions.
You keep coming out the gate so rough on teams. This is like a normal thing for you.
Well, their first 4 games, 3 of them are on the road.
Sorry.
49ers were the NFC
I have
championship
to give the Rams a loss. I gave the Bears the win. I will change it. I have them 2-2.
But still, 3 of your first 4 games are on the road, and the one at home is the 49ers. Also, the Bears have a solid defense that may only be better after last year. So I think I'm just kind of scanning ahead. Their schedule opens up a bit. They'll be fine, but maybe not right now. They're back home, but it's the Green Bay week 5.
They're beating the Packers.
Well, you don't like the Packers.
I think they're one of the most overrated teams.
I know.
And that does not mean I think they're bad. I want to be very clear.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Jordan Love literally has played 1 season, and we are crowning this dude. It needs breaks have to be pressed. They have to be. It seems like a lot. Week 6.
I'm still thinking on this Packers game. That's going to be such a good game.
Stop thinking and put Rams.
All right, Packers.
Okay. So what record do you have them right this second?
1-4.
Yeah, come on.
I know.
Ain't no way.
Sorry about it.
You don't need to be sorry about it. Blake Corum's carrying them to freaking 3 of those 4 wins. Easily.
Maybe, but week 6, I might have them lose against the bye week. Boy, it's going. Week 6 is the bye week. They need it, though. 1-4. Let's rally the troops here. Come out of the bye. Host the Raiders.
Win.
Host the Vikings Thursday night.
Definitely a win now.
Win. at the Seattle Seahawks.
Win. I believe I have that down for them, though. Let me check.
I have it as a win.
Seattle Seahawks. I have. What week is this?
9.
Oh, those are in my Florida notes. I can't find them. I'm giving them the win.
I am too. Then they get a long week from Thursday to Sunday from Vikings to Seattle is a longer week. Then they get Sunday to Monday night where they host the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football.
Win.
They're 5-4 for me. Then Sunday, the New England Patriots.
Gosh. Win.
Then they're back home. Sunday Night Football, Rams, Eagles.
Chris is so pissed. You know what?
Because I'm carrying the boat. Shout out David Goggins for the Eagles.
Win. Rams win.
The Eagles?
Yeah, they beat the Eagles.
All right. Through 11 games, so 12 weeks in a bye, what do you have their schedule?
Win, loss, win, win.
So 2 losses.
I might be overvaluing slightly. They might have a third loss.
So you have them at 9-2, though. Okay.
Dude, I really think this is a good football team.
At 9-2. I have them at 6-5. And here we go. Their final stretch of 6 games at the New Orleans Saints.
It's a weird game.
I think Stafford can go in there and get a win, though. But that's not going to be.
That is a tough game, but I give them the win as well.
That's a nice 4:05 game. Like, you don't want to watch that in limited window. Then they're back home versus the Buffalo Bills.
That's a loss. If too many wins, Buffalo comes in there needing
Just real
something.
quick, I just want to see who the Bills play before they play the Rams. They're coming off the 49ers. I'm going to give the Rams the win.
Wow. You know my rule. I also have to give them a win. There's no way they have this many wins, though. I'm going overboard.
Now it's a short week, Thursday night at the 49ers.
Double losses to the Niners.
Then they go cross country at the Jets.
Who are they playing?
The Jets.
Jets.
At the Jets.
The Jets. Jets win here.
I agree. Then they finish back-to-back home games, Cardinals, Seahawks.
Win against the Cardinals, loss at the Seahawks.
I have a double win there for them to finish 10-7, same record as last year.
I feel they're slightly overvalued at 12-5. But this is a good team. I'm actually going to take a win away. When do they play Miami? 10?
Miami is week 10 Monday Night Football.
That's a loss. I'm giving them 11-6. I feel better about that. Miami, I was on the fence. Yeah, I feel better. They're over under. Let me guess, 8.5. I feel like I overvalue a lot of teams.
Division plus 330. Make playoffs minus 102. Miss playoffs minus 118. So they really don't know about this team. Super Bowl is plus 3,000.
Well, you ready to talk about the other half of this pod?
I am ready.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-7 last year. They did lose the wild card round to the Bills, 31-17. And they did have 3 Pro Bowlers last season. The one thing I thought out of that playoff game, I thought was very telling that Kenny Pickett did not play. And they moved on from him. Go ahead and take the rest away.
Yeah, so we'll start with losses. Quarterback Kenny Pickett, quarterback Mason Rudolph, quarterback Mitch Trubisky. All of them gone, shot, killed, bang, bang, bang. Line them up. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson, out of here. Allen Robinson, see ya. Patrick Peterson, don't have room for you anymore. Their additions, they bring in quarterback Justin Fields, quarterback Russell Wilson, linebacker Patrick Queen, safety Elliott, corner Dante Jackson, wide receiver Cordell Patterson, and Vance Jefferson. Through the draft and the first pick, they take versatile tackle Troy Fautanu from Washington. Second round, Zach Frazier, center from West Virginia. And in the third round, they take the Wilson twins, Roman and Peyton, wide receiver and linebacker, respectively. They take some more trench guys and a DB later in the draft.
I'm going to give you a bit of insight here. I respect certain names in the NFL media world. There has been arguably the most trusted name in Pittsburgh sports talk. I think his name's Andrew Filipano or something like that.
Oh, he's a Paisano, yeah.
Very respected name. What's that?
Yeah, you probably said it right. I don't know his name, how to pronounce it exactly.
Regardless, he has said multiple times this deal is in Pittsburgh's hands, and they matched everything, and the Niners just need to basically send them over. Ian Rappaport, I mean, there's literally two mega names in NFL talk, and it is Scheffler and Rappaport. And Rappaport tweeted today at around 2:30, 3 o'clock that this deal was done. It just needs to be agreed upon. I'm going to do my predictions with Ayuk on the team. I feel that confident that it's done.
I do too, but if that's how we want to do it, I guess we can. I was really hoping it would be done by the time this team got to the pod, but also they added wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. I'll finish my transactions.
Boom. So the one thing that kind of annoys me, no reports on what the compensation is sending back, and maybe that's because that's the part that's semi-unclear. There's going to be some draft picks, but I do wonder what player is going to be sent, because I know you guys are going to have to send a player over.
I think that's what the biggest holdup with the Steelers was, is Brandon Ayuk wanted to play there. We have a deal for him. I think it's rumored around $28 million a year. So not in the 30s, but 28 because he wants to play there. And the reason why it's been such a holdup is the Steelers have refused to put a player in. I think they want to keep all their players. They said Pickens and Freiermuth are off limits. And I've heard that the 49ers have been trying really hard to get Pat Freiermuth. But the Steelers just said, we'll run our team the way it is. We're doing you a favor. He wants to come, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. That's kind of what I've heard in the whole situation.
I do wonder how much they're going to overpay in draft picks then.
We always think it's going to be a lot. I could still see a first, but first and a third. Plus, we're taking a contract off your hands. And I think what really squeezed, they have to pay Trent Williams. And as good as Ayuk is, Trent's more important. I mean, I don't think many people would disagree.
No, I love Ayuk, and I think he's one of the best receivers in the league. But when we're talking about the Niners, Debo's more important. Christian's more important. Trent's more important.
Brock.
I won't put Brock in front of Ayuk, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah.
I think Ayuk's a little better than Brock as far as what he brings to the Niners. So Kittle too. All those guys. But I do like Brandon.
Check.
Yeah. I thought he was a Patriot. It sounded like the deal was done. The deal was done, actually, on both sides. Brandon said no. And that's disappointing. It is, because apparently we offered him the most money. I don't know what the guarantees were. That hasn't been rumored. But we offered $32 million a year and gave the Niners the deal that they wanted, which was a player and picks. And we had what we thought was a number one wide receiver and didn't want to go. And I get it. New England is not what they once were, and that's a tough pill to swallow. But I am gonna predict this as if it's Ayuk. So I just wanted that kind of out there.
Gotcha.
I will real quick see.
Oh, I'll just go in a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it away.
Basically, the Steelers, we could talk about players for days, but the Steelers have basically been an inept offense with Matt Canada running the offense. Arthur Smith, it replaces Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator. What I believe he does for a locker room, what he does for a coaching staff. He had Ryan Tannehill as the number 4 and number 8 ranked offense in the. Not saying he's going to do all that with the Steelers, but you look at Russ's turnover differential, and honestly, you take away the Nate Hackett year at the Denver Broncos, and he wasn't bad. Then you look at Justin Fields and his big playability. We'll have to see on turnovers of what he can do. I know in the preseason there was 2 fumbled snaps, but it was our 3rd string center, and he's never had like fumbling issues with snap exchange at the Bears or at Ohio State. I don't think that's a big deal. George Pickens, I think, has solidified himself as a number 1 receiver in the NFL. I mean, what he's done with limited quarterback play and a bad offense. Pat Freiermuth, we've been drafting offensive line and acquiring through the free agency in the last 2 or 3 years. We're a young, new offense under Arthur Smith. It can't be worse than it's been. I'm hoping for a top half of the league offense. Top 16 is what I'm hoping for. I don't think we're going to be 7th or 10th. But if we could be the 16th best offense in the league, it boils down to us having one of, if not the best defense in the league. TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith, Elandon Roberts, Minka Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, Joey Porter Jr., traded for Dante Jackson. Corey Trice was a 4th-round pick out of Purdue, big body, good corner in college. He had a training camp injury. He missed the entire year last year. In training camp, he's been very good, and in the preseason game, he was our highest-rated corner. So the defense, I mean, the Steelers have been in the top 3 in sacks for 5 straight years in the NFL, and they've done it while playing from behind, not with a lead. We destroy every analytical metric in terms of, in 4-point games on the road, teams win 30% of the time. The Steelers are built to win an AFC North game by 2 points in ugly fashion. It's just how our team's always been built. They go against how you'd normally think a team to win, but the most difficult division in the NFL. Steelers are going to have a tremendously difficult schedule. Be remiss if I didn't shout out Peyton Willis, won the Dick Butkus Award in college, back-to-back 100-tackle seasons, but because of shoulder and knee skepticism medically, he drops to the 4th round. The Steelers got him. He shined in our first preseason game. I expect him to be on the field soon this year.
Yeah, I think, what do we talk about all the time? Quarterbacks win these leagues. They win these games. They win the leagues. They win they go to the playoffs. I'm not being unfair here. You had 3 bad quarterbacks on your roster. There was one that maybe had some potential, and the other 2 just weren't good. That's just the facts. I do think that Kenny, if given the chance, still has a little bit of potential there. I'm not going to die on that hill, but I think there's something. I've seen a little bit.
I just would say we were pretty quick to move off of him, and it seems like he's losing the backup competition in training camp. Like it's not going. Yeah, I don't know if it's mentals, ability, and it was something like he completed like 14 passes in the preseason game, and it was for under 100 yards. Like it was just, I don't know. It just, I wanted to root for the guy, but I mean, we brought in some competition. He asked to be kicked out, goes to the Eagles, and he's losing a backup job. It just seems a little weird what's going on with him, but keep.
Yeah, I mean, you cut 3 and you add 2, and they're both better than the 3. If you would have
even Kyle Allen, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think that's that crazy. If you had had those 3 quarterbacks still, and you added Russ, he would have been your best quarterback. If you'd had those 3 and you added Justin, he'd have been your best. And so you literally added 2 quarterbacks better than those 3, got rid of them. I think there's interesting comps to either of them to each other, if that makes any sense. Though Russ is a way better thrower, especially downfield thrower. I think that's definitely his strength, is downfield throwing. Go ahead.
something about Justin Fields. He was asked who he would compare himself or would want to learn from in the NFL. And he said, all through my college years, I thought it would be Cam Newton. But after playing one season in the NFL, I realized it was more Russell Wilson. And so even after we got Russ, part of the decision why he wanted to come to Pittsburgh was, one, a chance to compete and move forward, but two, to us, because I think Fields is starting to believe with my running ability, if I run after the play's dead, not just like freak out and run and learn that from Russ, I think that's something he wanted to do, is play with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I do think that Russ is, and this needs to be said, I think he's the day one. And unless the wheels are falling off, I think he plays all year, honestly.
I think the only difficult part is that one, you should watch it. Dan broke down like a lot of like the 2 or 3 drives from Fields, like how we didn't really do anything in the preseason. 2 fumbled snaps put us behind. He said there was twice where he saw the receivers run the wrong route, like these 3rd and 4th string receivers. Like, so it was just interesting to see it from that. But when Fields left Chicago, everybody loved him. And when Russ has left his teams, a lot of people have felt animosity or ill will towards him. Fields is younger, more adaptable, and our entire offense is young players. If Russ is hurt and he's missing these reps, I feel like Fields is just going to become the players guy. And then it's going to be like when the coach starts Russ, the players want Fields. And if Fields goes, the coaching staff's like, we should be going with Russ. I just hope that there isn't some like mash in the locker room of like who the guy should be. It's just, that's something that I get worried about.
Yeah, that's fair. You ready to predict some wins and losses? Probably more losses than wins.
We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see how it goes. I will say before we get into it, and I'll probably repeat it. I would fear a lot of the AFC North teams more if I wasn't in the AFC North. I have given, I think, all AFC North teams 3-3 in their division in every one that I will do for this. It's too hard to. Lamar Jackson's 2-4 versus the Steelers. The Browns, the Steelers. Joe Burrow's only 3-2. It's all a lot of like hit and miss. So I know a lot of people from the outside looking in are like, it's Ravens, Bengals, and then we'll see who the Steelers and Browns finish third.
I agree.
I don't think it's as cut and dry as that, but maybe that's optimism that you'll find in Browns and Steelers fans being in the division with them. But we'll start week 1 and week 2. Now this is back-to-back road spot, back-to-back revenge spots. Week 1, Arthur Smith returns to the Atlanta Falcons. The new Falcons take on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I believe I gave the Falcons the win. But
yeah,
I didn't have Brandon Ayuk playing in this game. I'm going to switch. I actually like the Steelers to win.
I also like early in the year, typically defenses will start more hotter than offenses. Kirk Cousins coming out with his new offense. I like the Steelers here. Week 2,
Which,
Russell
real quick, that drops my Falcons
Wilson at the Denver. Gotcha. Steelers are back-to-back road spots at the Denver Broncos.
Broncos, I think, are – I don't want to overjump the gun. Bo Nix looked so good.
It was nice. Second, third, but man, he was just moving.
The Broncos have a few pieces that are worth something. Steelers win here, but I am excited about the Broncos, and if I could redo them, I wonder if I'd give them an extra win or two. But Steelers win.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people are like, ooh, 4 scoring drives and 5 drives for Bo Nix. I think it was like his wide receiver or running back like fumbled pretty far down the field against the Colts. Like it wasn't like they just stalled out, like somebody fumbled. Week 3, the Steelers have their home opener versus the Chargers. Again, I've said I'd like to revalue the Chargers. This foot injury worries me with Herbert.
I actually have them losing the Steelers anyway.
I know I have the Steelers 3-0. I don't think it's crazy, but I just this Chargers team. If Justin Herbert's out, I don't like him. Week 4 at the Colts.
Man, I gotta do a lot of swapping here. Week 4 at the Colts. Did we do the Colts when I was in Florida?
I believe so. Yeah, they were. Yeah, Colts, Saints, Raiders, and Seahawks.
This is a tough game.
Full health. I like the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going to win for the Steelers here.
Steelers' second home game, October 6th, Sunday Night Football, as they invite Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys into town.
Loss. Cowboys win.
I don't know if we lose to the Cowboys, but through those 5 games, we have a loss. They're not going to be 5-0. They're then on the road at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Win.
Last year we beat the Raiders, and it was a Steelers home game in there. I expect the same thing. Week 7, Sunday Night Football. So now they've had Sunday night, 4 o'clock, another Sunday night game at the New York Jets.
The Jets.
I think if Aaron Rodgers is playing, I think I like the Jets here. We struggle with those veterans, seen it all quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like those guys, Patrick Mahomes.
I gave the Jets the win. I'm going to stay with it.
Yeah. Then another primetime game, 3 and 4 weeks. Monday night, we host the New York Giants.
That's a win.
Now, this was the big question for the Steelers as they hit their bye week, week 9. How would they fare in the first 8 games? I have them 6-2.
6-2. Bye week is week 9.
Bye week is week 9. They come out of the bye week and they're at the Washington Commanders.
They're going to win that game.
I like them out of the bye, 7-2. Now, if you're new to the Steelers' schedule, this is what everyone's talked about all year that knows the Steelers or is a fan. The Steelers and the Bears are the 2 teams that do not play the divisional opponent in the first 10 weeks. Steelers and Bears. The Steelers' final 8 games, we'll get to the order, is Ravens twice, Browns twice, Bengals twice, and the 2 odd games are Chiefs and Eagles. So their final games, they got to walk through an airstrike. I mean, they're man down in the trenches. So after Washington, we are home week 11, November 17th, in our first divisional game, home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Win.
I agree. Short week Thursday night at Cleveland, we lose. Play the Ravens.
I agree. It's a loss.
Then have on the road to Cleveland. Then it's a back-to-back road spot as we get a little bit longer week, but we travel to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Loss.
We give it a loss. We are then home against the Browns. So 4 straight games. Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns. I think we win.
Loss.
At the Philadelphia Eagles.
Loss.
Loss. At the Ravens.
Loss. Five losses in a row doesn't feel right here, but I do think that the Ravens with Derrick Henry provides a different look than what you guys have seen in the past, and they're going to split with you guys. I don't. Week 14, you played the Browns again.
Week 11, Ravens. 12, Browns. 13, Bengals. 14, Browns. 15, okay. Eagles.
I'm switching my week 14 to a win.
Ravens. Against the Browns?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I like our chances in Baltimore. And by the way, that Baltimore game is one of the 2 or 3 games that is on Saturday, December 21st. I believe those 2 games, it's Steelers, Ravens, and Texans, Chiefs. Because the next week on they flip opponents, and it's Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Texans. So those 4 teams got like a flip-flop to have 2 straight weeks where it's all 4 of them. So at Ravens, Saturday, December 21st.
I have you losing that game.
I like us to go in there and get the W. Then Christmas Day, Wednesday, we host the Chiefs.
Loss again.
We just can't beat Mahomes. And then week 18, we host the Cincinnati.
I did have you.
You gave that as a win because you had a resting.
I did. I have you guys at
winning.
10-7 again.
11-6 is what I have.
I'm gonna guess their over/under is probably 9.5.
It's 8.5. By the way, Mike Tomlin has, I think, 18 straight winning seasons. If they went under, he would have his first losing season of his career, which I'm not saying is impossible, but that's another thing you'd be predicting if you don't want to just blind bet the Steelers to just have a winning record. Division plus 750. They are by far the farthest chance to win it at plus 750. Make playoffs plus 156, miss playoffs minus 196, Super Bowl plus 5,000.
All right. Another 4 teams down. 20 teams. 12 to go. So,
if I'm not mistaken, next week's will be the Dolphins, the Eagles,
Browns,
the Browns, and the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Eagles, yeah, because they were 24th pick, right?
I guess I don't know.
I believe I'm right.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just would assume they would farther down.
Let's scroll down here on the draft order. Hurry up and load. Come on. Yeah, 21 is the Dolphins. 22 is the Eagles. 23 was originally Cleveland, went to Texans, Minnesota, Jacksonville. But 24, the Cowboys traded that pick to the Lions to get Terry and Arnold. So it was the Cowboys at 24. Cowboys, Browns, Eagles, Dolphins. That's a pod.
That's a pod. That's a good pod. Well,
3 left.
Well, yeah, I think I'm feeling pretty good. I don't have any of the teams that we did today taking a big fall. Rams improved by 1 win. Jags improved by 2 wins. Bengals improved by 3 wins. Steelers stay the same. So, yeah.
I have all these teams about the same that they were last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
No?
Well, I will guess we'll sign off. Anything else?
Nope, that's it, man.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, share the pod. Listen to your favorite team, listen to other teams. Listen to how bad we are predicting or how good we are predicting, one of the two. So, see you guys next time. We're out.
Take it easy.